Hey, welcome back. It is Laura at Hyperstamper. I'm about to put a new junk journal made out of an antique book onto Etsy in my Etsy shop, hyperstamper.etsy.com. And everything in the shop is free shipping in North America, and everything in my shop is authentic antique and vintage pages and ephemera and inserts. There's no commercial products anywhere here. So I am dying to take you on a little journey of this old book that was called A Boy in a Box. And I used a vintage necklace piece here to make these beautiful chains and this wonderful vintage. It came from a necklace. There were 5 of them on a necklace, and I pulled those apart. And I just love that it matches this beautiful blue color in this marbling, which was very popular to have a marbled cover. And this one has the gold in it, which is spectacular. The corner protectors, I just love it. You don't often see them in this beautiful navy blue and turquoise. They're often just the golds and reds or greens. This is special. So let me show you the inside here. I kept the original first pages in the book. You can see here, it is from 1909. And the very first page here, this is the spine of a French book. And this is a plate from the very early 1900s. Isn't that a beautiful color plate? Look at the horse and buggies. Oh, spectacular. And then I made this so that you can journal up here and on the flip side up here as well. And I put in a vintage hanky that was never purchased. If you're wondering why I have so many of these, if you follow me, I did receive a box from somebody who owned a store in the 70s. And they were put in a box when the store closed in the 70s and never opened again. So I was lucky enough to have those. This is sort of along the lines of Dick and Jane. This is a side story here, but it's a really fun children's book page. And this is a wonderful 50-year-old journal ledger page here for attendance of the Beacon Lodge. Just some really great pages here. Look at this one here from the 1920s. That's Georgie becomes Mama's helper boy, bringing in the firewood. I love that picture. And this, even though it's glossy and it looks like a brand new postcard, this is actually very old. This would have been a very expensive postcard to buy, but you can tell here that that is probably about a 1920s postcard. Even though there's no date on there. This came from the 50s, little school book in the 50s. I think it's hilarious. And all the different occupations that you can have. Words for people. And then I had another page directly from this book that was blank, so I thought that'd be great use of journaling space. There we go. So lots tucked into that pocket. And over here, already you can see this is going to be fabulous, right? Look at these fashions. Oh my gosh. Just wonderful. If you like the fashions from the 50s, this is from a 1950s music magazine, kind of a teen magazine deal. And just a really fun visuals and read there. And this is also from that magazine, That Southern Style. And I put some antique paper on the back so you can journal on there as well. Lots of clusters in here that I made with antique books and antique pages. This is a pressed flower here that I put in because I love, love, love to use pressed flowers. And I finally have some more. This is a plate out of a vintage book from the 50s, but look how pretty this is. Grow your own fairy tale. Oh, I love it. And the crocus is on the back. So that's very vibrant. This here is another children's book page with turtles and crayfish for journaling. And this here is I don't know the age of it, but it's at least vintage. And it is an orange wrapper. And I know that my sister used to collect orange wrappers from around the world. So that's a really beautiful one from South Africa. Fun cluster up here. This is a beautiful plate from the Scottish Highlands book. I did a little waterfall here, so you can journal on there. And at the top, make it into a pocket. Put a 1950s pearl shop receipt. And whoop, there we go. And here I made a pocket with a journaling envelope made out of a How to Do the Foxtrot page from a vintage book. And this is an antique, or vintage, I'm afraid, vintage cross stitch. Needle point there. So I made that into a pocket as well. And I've just put some, this is actually very old antique from a school book. And it's got the grids on it, the grid paper there. Kind of cool. Be fun to journal with that or use it in your own artwork. There's the names from the Beacon Lodge. More children's book pages. I got some Chantilly lace here. And this is another one of these pieces of that humongous graduating class from 1964. So that's a wonderful 60-year-old keepsake there. Look at the beehives and the bouffant hairdos. You can journal on the back of that tag as well. 1930s Monopoly, money and Monopoly piece. Children's book pages. Oh, look at this plate. This is lovely, and I didn't take it apart from its original paging as well. This is a book that's long been sold as a journal, Ministering Children, but isn't that sweet little plate there? Quite special. And this is from a 1940s book that was what would have been called photocopying back in the day. And then we've got an antique stamp down here, vintage playing card here. And these are, sorry, I'm just going to have to tug at this a bit. This is from the 1800s, and that was penned here, 1887. And it's journaling a news article from the day. Look at this wonderful children's book page here. Look at this little girl trying to fix her alarm clock. Oh, I just love it so much. And the frog and the chicken here. And I've got a beautiful vintage a dictionary page here. There's two birds on this side, which I love the bird images in old dictionaries. Here's a lovely plate, the shepherdess. And I turned this into a little pocket to put an antique back of a vintage book cover there. And then this is a plate from a book that I turned into a journaling envelope. So you can stuff even more things here. And I made the pocket out of this lovely vintage doily. All right, so you can have fun with that piece there. Vintage music sheet, vintage botanical sheet here. This is from a children's book page from the 40s. And then I didn't put any paper on this because it's just the loveliest little poem on night and day. So I wanted somebody to enjoy that, but you could add your own paper to that if you want more journaling space. More journaling space here on this vintage flowering trees card, children's book page pocket. An embroidery book page from the 50s. This was a book cover that was just in too rough a shape to use, so I turned it into tags. And this is a feather from my backyard that I put here because it says wherein a feather falls and a soul is born. So I put a feather there. And this is from 1882, Demarest's Family Magazine. Just some wonderful portraits here. Just a lovely poem here. One on friends. Just very special. Very, very special. So I hope whoever gets this journal enjoys those because they were special to me, and I'm sure they will be to you as well. And another plate here. This one is a really different kind of art look. Very unique style. And I think that is pretty cool and colorful. Sorry, lost my page. Here we go. It's really stuffed. This here is from the early 1900s, and it is a book on bookkeeping. So it's got this wonderful plate here, plate 202, on the flip side as well. More embroidery, a vintage bird book here from the early 70s, and more botanicals, another vintage music sheet here, little window box journaling space here, and a pocket tucked back here. Just a really cool antique page with some blank spots for journaling on. Sometimes that's hard to find. 1955 American Road Map Atlas here. Fun cluster up there. That's a piece of a book cover. And the last few pages of the actual, oh no, this is a bird study book. Look at this. Boys fishing, birds and nature. Love it. Handbook of Nature Study. There's cat yawning here. This is a vintage recipe card that never got written on. And then some more botanicals here. This is more of that nature study book. This is very, very old. And that brings us to the end. So I hope you love it as much as I loved making it. It's in my Etsy shop now. And come back soon.